Wall Street ends higher with the Nasdaq clocking in a record close. Asian markets, however, negative as Dow Futures slip over 400 points. Setback for IT companies as US President Donald Trump signs proclamation suspending H-1B visas. The order includes suspension of H-2B visas, J visas, L visas and visas for those accompanying these categories of visa holders as well. All eyes on the Russia, India, China trilateral meeting scheduled for later this afternoon. Home Minister Rajnath Singh is in Moscow for the Victory Day parade, while foreign ministers of India and China would be meeting for the first time since the border standoff. In key earnings today, CNBC TV 18 poll pegs a profit growth of 5.5% for Asian paints, while a decline in volume growth would be limited to low single digits. Also watch out for numbers coming in from Page Industries and Berger Paints. Hi there, good morning and welcome. You're watching Power Breakfast on CNBC TV 18 in the Mumbai News Center. I'm Mangalam Malu. Cues from overnight turn in the morning, and that's because despite a record close on Wall Street, there was a comment that came in from White House trade advisor Peter Navarro, who said the China trade deal is over. Perhaps pre-election sentiment ramping up with Donald Trump cancelling visas, as well as ramping up the sentiment against China, but it has had a bearing on the market. The Dow Futures low by almost 400 points despite a strong close, as a result of which the Asian markets also slip into red, as reports indicate that Peter Navarro has said in an interview that the trade deal with China is over. So we have the Hang Seng lower by almost 100 odd points, Shanghai as well lower by about 0.4%. Nikkei was lower, has shown some amount of recovery, as has the Korean market, so they moved a little off lows, but lows nevertheless. Important to see where the SGX Nifty indicates as far as the open is concerned. Okay, so there's a sharp recovery. Just a few moments ago, the SGX Nifty was lower by almost 50-60 points. So a flat start is what it indicates as of now. Let's see where it goes from here. But let's talk about the US markets itself. Wall Street ended higher as investors continued to weigh on important economic data against the prospect of new business shutdowns due to a resurgence in coronavirus cases. The Dow rose about 150 points. The S&P was also up by almost 20 odd points, while the Nasdaq was the one which was outperforming with a gain of over 100 points, closing at a record level in yesterday's trading session. CNBC's Aditi Roy gets us a wrap of all the Wall Street action.
U.S. stocks starting the week strong. The Dow up 153 points, the S&P adding 20, and the Nasdaq gaining 110 points, posting its 7th straight day of gains. Apple closing in the green after a flurry of new announcements at its annual developer keynote. The tech giant displaying iOS 14, redesigned software for the iPhone, and announcing that its Mac line will drop Intel chips in favor of ones the company builds itself. Meantime, the U.S. Supreme Court siding with the Securities and Exchange Commission on Monday, ruling in an 8-1 vote that the regulator can seize profits from fraudulent companies. But the court did put a cap on how much the SEC can recoup in those cases, saying they couldn't exceed the amount generated from the fraudulent activity. And Microsoft ending its video game streaming service Mixer, which it acquired shortly after Amazon's purchase of Twitch. The cloud software giant is now encouraging people who watch and create content for it to use Facebook gaming instead. Microsoft will still release a new version of the Xbox game console later this year.
All right, so those were all the global cues. It's now time to take note of all the cues that will help you prep up for trade today. In our new daily offering, our entire research team puts together for you a 360-degree analysis of the trade setup. As you can see all of them here. Good morning, guys. We'll tell you the market setup, the stocks you need to keep on your radar, as well as the F&O setup. It's the perfect warm-up for a super trade workout. We call it the Power Prep Up on Power Breakfast. So let's talk about the market setup itself. Good morning, Sonia. What are the key cues you're watching out for?
Hi Mangalam, good morning. Thanks a lot for that. So, it's all over the place. As we speak, the Dow Futures have recovered about 300 points in the last half hour, and the Asian markets are recovering too. As you pointed out earlier, the SGX Nifty is now indicating a start that will be just 10 points lower. Of course, there are a lot of cues from across the globe. So the biggest one is the White House trade advisor saying that the China trade deal is over. That could put some pressure on global markets. However, let's not forget our own markets are sitting at 3-month highs. The Sensex and the Nifty have been rising for 3 consecutive days, and the momentum has been very strong on the upside. Now the Nifty is up in excess of 35% from the lows that we saw in the month of March, from the first day of the lockdown, that is. Also yesterday, the Nasdaq touched record highs. The Dow was up in the green, so the cues have been good so far. Some volatility could be seen today. FIs bought about 424 crores in the cash markets yesterday. Domestic institutions sold about 1,288 crores, so keep that in mind. The next level to watch is the key resistance of 10,400 to 10,500. We barely managed to touch that yesterday. Let's see if that proves to be a bit of a hurdle today. A lot of delivery buying seen in large banking names, so that continues to be the theme. ICICI Bank, Axis Bank saw 500 crores of delivery buying. Bajaj Finance saw 500 crores of delivery buying as well. But the other big story is that IT stocks perhaps could be under sentimental pressure because the US President Donald Trump has signed that proclamation suspending H-1B visas. Renewal of visas still is not quite certain what the scene is over there. So overall, the trend has been good. The Nifty is up 7.5% in June. Mid-caps are up 12%. Today, we could see a bit of a pause because of the slightly subdued global cues.
Fair point there, Sonia. Thanks a lot for that. In fact, that's about the market macros. So let's drill it down to the micro. Sonal joins us now with a list of stocks that you need to watch out for in trade. Sonal.
Hi Mangalam, good morning. Well, let me start with the IT stocks. Sonia also mentioned them. Well, they will be in focus because Donald Trump has signed a proclamation suspending H-1B visas, and this order comes in effect from 24th of June. So we will watch out for IT stocks. However, something like a Tech Mahindra told us earlier that their dependence is more on the domestic front right now. So we will watch out for that. We have Reliance Industries. The stock has seen a one-side move. The company has an AGM on the 15th of July, so an important event that we'll be watching out for. Apart from that, some ratings action. Axis Bank, for them, Fitch has revised the rating outlook of the long-term issuer default rating to negative, and that is the same thing that has happened with Punjab National Bank as well. So we will keep those two banks on our radar. Apart from that, for Tejas Network, ICRA has downgraded the long-term and the short-term ratings, both because of the balance sheet issues. So that stock will be in focus as well. Apart from that, we have COVID disclosure coming in from Oil India, where they say that it was not materially impacted both the production and sales because of COVID. Apart from that, we have a lot of results. So InfoEdge, the company reported decent results. Revenues were up 8%, EBITDA was up 6%, margins at 28%. Profits, they were impacted because of a one-time loss of 183 crore rupees. Additionally, the company has also announced fundraising of 1875 crore rupees, which is 5.5% of the market cap. We have Skipper, where mixed numbers were reported. Net profit increased by 58%. However, EBITDA declined by 50%. We have Sudarshan Chemicals, where net profit increased by 5.5%, while margins, they compressed to 12%. That is a decline of 300 basis points. So all these stocks will be in focus today. Back to you.
All right, so those were the stocks you should keep on your radar. InfoEdge stands out for an 1875 crore QIP that it announced as well. But this is the expiry week, so important to watch out for the F&O Qs as well. Nigel, looks like calls and puts both are being written, so the traders are playing for a bit of a range?
Well, that's right, Mangalam. If you look at it, the SGX Nifty was suggesting a downtick of close to around 50 points approximately. But now, in fact, it's suggesting maybe, in fact, we'll start off with the counter front 10 to 20 points. Important to note that in yesterday's trading session, we came off close to around 80 points from the high point of the day. So some part of the bad news that was scheduled to come overnight, that's already been played out. A quick word in terms of flows. The last few days, there's been a role reversal. The FIs in the last 3 trading sessions, they have pumped in close to around 2,000 crores, while the DIs, they have been backing up this market. In the last 2 trading sessions, well, they have sold close to around 2,000 crores odd. Let's get straight to the F&O Qs then. In terms of the index futures, well, in yesterday's trading session, the FIs added close to around 4,000 contracts. So they added more long contracts than short contracts in the ratio of around 2:1. So more number of longs being added out there. But in terms of the options data, they bought a little more puts than calls, but they bought puts as well as calls. And in terms of writing, they're writing puts as well as calls. So in terms of options data, it's a little bit mixed. What are the key levels you're looking at? In yesterday's trading session, we went to around 10,394 odd. So that becomes a bit of a resistance in the near term. And the 10,400 to 10,500 level, that's something that the bulls will be looking at very, very closely. The bears will like to defend that, given that we are in expiry week, and the rolls are more or less in line with what we have seen on, a normal expiry -3 odd. And if you're looking at in terms of the support levels, 100 DMA, that becomes crucial. 10,075 on the downside, that's the crucial support level. You have to remember in the F&O market, few stocks, everyone was net short. Yesterday, there was a big squeeze that placed out. India Bulls Housing Finance, big squeeze playing out there. Open interest down, stock jumped up. IDFC First Bank out there as well. We had a short squeeze that played out, and Page Industries as well. All these three did come in for short covering, but it appeared that there was some fresh buying on Bajaj Auto. You had a big jump in terms of the stock, and there were some open interest built up as well. So important to see whether or not the bulls, after they get a bit of a dip, whether they buy into it and they can cross that 10,400 odd mark. That's going to be quite crucial. Back to you, Mangalam.
All right, Nigel, thanks a lot for that. Whether the bulls get a dip or not is the big question, because the Asian markets, they are moving off lows. The SGX Nifty closed at the high point of today's trading range. But we'll keep an eye out on 10,075 as well as 10,394. With that, we slip into a short break, talk about the global markets as well as IT space. US suspends new H-1B visas amid COVID-19 pandemic. Details and impact on Indian IT companies on the other side.